Whenever I'm afraid of somebody, what other people think, or fear of judgment, it's really because I'm judging myself. I haven't accepted me fully. Because once I've accepted me, then someone else's validation of me isn't going to have so much of a hold on me. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Optimize, the Prime Podcast. I had to pause. I'm here with Nasheed, and it's it's been forever. I feel like it's been forever since I saw Nasheed, so I'm giddy like a little schoolgirl. But Nasheed has approached me with an very super interesting topic. We wanted to talk about self love today. So, Nasheed, tell me, how did this come about? Where did the inspiration for this topic came about? And let's get into it because self love over here. I love it.
Okay. So this self love was like going around a couple of not weeks or months or something like that. So I see many people are like doing 9 to 5 job or doing business, and at the end of the day, people got tired. Even though they have happiness, they have wealth, they have money, but the actual reason is different. The actual reason was different. Past tense, right? So nobody is trying to figure it out. Everybody says they are happy, they are too bogged down with the work and everything and others. And I was also going through some of the time where I was asking question to myself, like, is this the life I'm heading to? Like, yeah, I'm looking after my elderly mother, as well as I'm looking after my family. So I have three families to look after. One is my mom's family, like it's been with her since my father died. Second is my family. I have two daughters, one wife, one cat, and all the female team I have to lead. Yeah, and also my entrepreneurship life, my business, which is running 7 years. So it's been also, I mean, there are a couple of peoples in Bangladesh and in US as well. So there are three families to look after. And I also ask myself why I'm heading to this unknown pattern where everyone is happy, probably because probably I used to give this quote, like I was selling ice cream or I'm selling the ice cream, everyone is happy. But at the back of the mind, I lost transitions. I lost my passion. I lost something which I really proud of. And that's one of the reason, like, I met you and started the podcasting, which is like, I bought the podcasting mic for the last 2 years, but I haven't recorded. And seeing that mic, podcasting mic for the last 2 years, I thought of myself, actually, at least for this mic, we need to start something. Or that was one of my passion to start. And eventually, that carried away is something like, no, we are not doing something for us as well. We are not doing something for the people. Definitely the family is a priority and everything, but we need to be prioritized as for us as well. So I sat down and I got some of the inspiration words from a couple of my friends who told me, no, you are not going in the right directions. Why not you start DJing? Restart your DJing career. Why not you start your speaking career? Why not you start your podcasting career? Why not you go see it out of the box? It's not always that. So what I did is, like, I didn't close any priorities. The same priority with my mom, with the same priority with my kids, my family remains the same. I rediscovered myself, like, hey, why not I start again? So after 1 year, I haven't touched my consoles and everything. And last week I had these sessions, and I feel like this is the thing I really love it. And when I mixed all the songs and people dance till the last minute, they dance till we got like 1:30 a.m. or 2 a.m. at night. So I was feeling that, okay, that's really giving me a self love. And then I go and buy some of the stuff for myself, or some of the things that I really appreciated. And you know what? Eventually, that's a secret, but podcast. Let me share it. I'm planning to buy a drum set, right? So that's going to be my self love. in the futures. So buying is not the only self love. It's something like you give something to your own, and that's really puts you in extra mile. And you need to thank yourself as well, like, hey. And that's one of the reason, like, even if we succeed with any customers or any good part, and let's say I did something good, I go out and go to a restaurant and see, like, okay, how can I have something, maybe a good dessert to thank myself, or maybe I will buy my next gadgets, or I will buy my next gig, okay, or go watch a movie alone and see to thank myself. So that's, I think the self love should be there. And if you love, and I was having a discussion with one of my friends today. So the discussion is coming like, if you love yourself, then you can love others. If you don't love yourself, your love will be not centered to anyone. So, and eventually the point came about the self love, and I was pushing Lazena that, okay, this topic, let's talk about this, because people lose that momentum or transactions when they go 40s and 45 years old and everything. So I post something in trends that, okay, even though I'm 50 or closing to 50, it's a new 40. Still I think like, I need to have that passion. So one of the DJ from New York uh, just followed me in the threads and saying like, hey, I am 50 plus and I'm still dancing, right? So why if I can, you, why can't you, right? So things are going upside down and everything, so I'm enjoying it, and I'm loving it. And I'm giving the credit to my inspirations, my friends, and some good followers, and some good people who wants me to go to the next level. So that's about the self love for my side. But I am pretty sure that you were cooking something when I sent you about this topic. So it's up to you right now. You can reveal your secrets, and we are listening.
Well, I absolutely loved when you talked about it. I was listening to your message and I was like, this is so good, because I think for the longest, well, I when I first met you and we talked about how we wanted to create this podcast, right? That to me was connecting with your joy, connecting with something that you really truly wanted to do. And I think after we left the conversation, you were like, I gotta go to bed and I gotta dream about my life now. And I don't know when we even started, but it's been a few months now. And every time we do the podcast, it brings that feeling of fulfillment to me. And that was something that a couple of years ago, and I'm not saying that it's in the past, it's in the present. I've learned a lot about what self care and self love really, really meant. I I used to think that self-love was selfish, and it meant that I couldn't love other people. But now it's more, the more that I love me, the more I have the capacity to love others, because I'm filling up my own cup of what I need. I needed to learn what my emotional needs were. How do I meet them? Because in so many ways, if I'm saying that I'm giving love to others, but I'm really hoping that they were going to love me back. I was doing it from a people pleasing place where I needed their validation and I needed their approval. But once I like really took the time to learn what that actually means inside of me, I started to come to the feeling of fulfillment. And when it comes, like, most of us, we are in survival mode, and we accept that, okay, we're in survival mode. We When I look at my life and I look at this as a story, if I'm watching a Pixar movie, right? I was born. I had two brothers. My father passed away. I lived with my grandparents. If we were to go now into the depths of me, I didn't have any of my emotional needs met, not in a blaming way, but my parents were doing the best that they could. And then by, like, age 7, things changed. By the time I was 13, things changed. So when I came to America, it was scary. I gave up on myself. I didn't realize that. So there was, like, I think when I was 16 or 17, I just lost all of me. I don't remember who I was anymore. I didn't have an identity anymore. I just knew that I needed to become something or someone based on what everybody else wanted me to. So I got married and I got married and I got into relationships. I'm gonna be 45 in a few months. In those years, there was no part of me that was me until life slapped me in the face and forced me to take a look and see how much I was lacking self love. I was giving to other people with the expectation of getting back. I wasn't really finding fulfillment from a place of me. What are the things that I like about myself? Where did they even come from? I would like sit there and I would have this, even if I did something really good, I couldn't accept it. I couldn't take in and say, "Wow, I'm proud of myself for doing that." It always came with the it wasn't good enough, or it could be better, or something else, so like you said, I you have your family and you have your job. Everything became about those other things except me. I took myself and I made relationships priority. I made the children priority, which they are, of course. I made work. These are all important things, but in the hustle and bustle of it, I didn't know that taking a time to sit down in the grass and breathe in the air and really connecting with me, even if I needed to say a prayer in that moment, that was self love. I didn't know that it was the times when my mind is telling me that wasn't good enough, or see, that person doesn't really care about you, or you messed up, and I'm beating myself up, that those were self care, those were self love. And I wasn't moving like even at work, the thing when I would do a project, I would want them to validate it so much. I wasn't even proud that I did this thing on my own and look how amazing it is, that it came from my creativity and no other program could have given that result because it came from my thinking. It was all about performance. It was all about showing up for other people, but not myself. And that was truly down to fulfillment. Fulfillment, not finding that fulfillment within myself. And once I started to like, when I started inner child work too, it used to be daunting because it was like, oh my gosh, there's so much moments where love was not safe, where celebration wasn't safe, and but they were also really great things. I love playing marbles. I love, like, we didn't have anything. We had matchboxes and the fire, the stick, right, the matchsticks, and we would make cars out of them, or digging a hole in the ground and putting the marbles in there, playing cricket. These were things that they felt joyful because we didn't have anything, so we got creative. So why, as an adult, can't I be creative now and do those very things from joy? So when you had approached me about the podcast and stuff like that, that made me even light up even more, because this is something that I love community. And so to be able to have a conversation with someone, and then that conversation gets shared with other people and other people, and we look how many people we have interviewed in the past couple months. That's fulfillment to me. That is sharing myself, learning about other people, welcoming them, taking in what they have to offer, and just that exchange of just joy. That is uh, that is amazing. So, and I would say, so I love your DJing, because that's like, I don't care if you're 50 or 60 or whatever. That is music is one of and I'm not somebody that listens to a lot of music, but I love when people enjoy music. When my daughters or my son is sharing something, I like to just watch them, how they're excited, what parts of the song made them really like liven up, what part hit them really hard, what are they dancing to, how are they feeling joy. So you're a DJ and you get to not only experience that for yourself, but you get to see how people are like, just, dancing freely without judgment, not caring. They're just feeling the music. And that is like the joy that we often forget, right? When we get caught up in the work and the obligations and making sure that everything is taken care of, we remove ourselves from feeling that within too. So I just that's what brought when when I listened to your message this morning, that's what made me excited. I was just like over the moon about that. Do you have anything for that?
Yeah,
Hold on, you're mute.
yeah, absolutely right. So the thing is, when I see you is participating in the real events, you're doing a lot of podcasts, right? 2 to 3 podcasts by your own,
Yeah.
and also connecting and meeting people. And that's, I can see you smiling,
Yeah.
sharing experiences, and to me, that's also called the self love,
Yes.
because you are also thanking yourself, expressing your joys, and sharing to the others, while listening to the people and learning from them as well. So that's also a good intro about your self love towards the people, because you that's your passion, and when you have a passion, that creates your inner beauties, inner self love, and liking yourself. Right? You can do it. If I can do it, why can't you? Right?
Yeah.
So that's really matters. That's really matters. And yeah, eventually, it's all about finding that, whatever your age.
Yes. And that's so powerful too, because I feel like everybody, um I read a long time ago that whenever we're sad, we can be depressed for years, or we could be in our bed for like 2 3 days, and we're really owning that sadness. We're in it, and we're it's in turmoil, and we're like, oh, we have to go to work. Oh, we have to make this phone call. Oh, I have to go take the kids to school. Oh, I gotta go do this. I gotta go do that, right? But when it's time to celebrate, it's our birthday, 1 hour or 2 hours, maybe a day. Very often you'll see somebody celebrate the whole week. So I started to turn that around. I started to like be more intentional with when it comes to the joyful feeling, because that has to override the sad. We can't I can feel sad. I don't have to be sad, right? So I started to take the joy and flip it around. So when I do have that, whenever I'm tired, I know that I need to give to myself. I need to take a moment. I maybe need to meditate. I need to give myself some affirmation. Maybe I need to journal. Maybe I need to call someone and say, this is how I'm feeling, just so that I can get through that. But if I don't do that, everything becomes daunting. Oh, I have to get up, I have to go to work. And so now it's like, I can't. One of my favorite things when I was growing up, my mom used to go to typing school, and now we lived in a very it was a 17 square mile island. So the jobs and stuff that you could get would be your school teacher or a nurse or a housewife. There wasn't much more. I mean, there were, but it wasn't readily available. So when I saw my mom was going to typing school, I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." She would put on her blue dress skirt and a off-white blouse. It would be tucked in. It would be neat, and she would have her typewriter in her in the briefcase, and she would go off. But before she did that, she would put on. She would stand in front of the mirror. She put on her red lipstick, and I was like, I really, really like. I love that feeling, and I couldn't wait. I envisioned myself being able to do that. So now, as an adult, I um I wasn't the one who always worked. My spouse has always worked. I did part-time jobs. So when I did get my job and now I'm a data analyst, it was it just felt so much better, because I was like, oh, I'm getting up. I love getting up, getting ready, taking my shower, putting on my clothes, putting on my makeup, because to me that is a representation of the woman inside of me that is into the world and facing it without fear, and doing something great that I got from myself. And I taught myself a lot of this work. So it's like it feels different when I'm like, okay, I'm getting ready, I'm putting on my makeup, I'm getting in a car, and I'm driving, because that was a dream. That was not something that I saw was tangible. And now that I'm living it, I think sometimes we forget that when we have the dream and we are living in it now, to pause, because that was something we wished for so long ago, and now here it is. We have to embrace it. And then when I go to pick up my kids, I'm like, I remember the times when I wasn't present with them, when I didn't even realize that their hearts were sad or they were happy or they were excited to show me something, and I wasn't able to I wasn't able to recognize that. So now when I go pick up my son after practice, I'm so excited because I'm present with that courage that it took. He was very, very shy to embracing going into the military programs in school, the leadership programs. So I see him in his little uniform and he's coming out. I never would have imagined that he would have made such a bold decision. And so I want to know, like, what did it take for you to overcome fear today? How courageous do you feel right now? So be able to share those special moments with them. And my little daughter, when she has lots of ideas, and when she's talking about them, she lights up. So I get to be able to be a part of that, and we get to live being present. But those are little things that I used to take for granted because I wasn't fulfilled within myself. I was just doing, it was emotion. It became, the survival. I'm just like, okay, I'm mom. I'm gonna go pick up my son. I gotta go pick up my daughter. Oh, it's heavy. It's the end of the day. Oh, I don't have a moment to breathe. But when I take the moment, in those moments to breathe, it just makes it so much better. So really and truly, there are days when I'm not feeling good and I maybe have some sadness in my heart. Now I don't make my children responsible to make me feel better. They are genuinely curious. Like, what is it that you need? What can you? They're not looking to solve it for me, but they know my practices and they can suggest it, or they can. Sometimes they're like, oh, do you want to go meditate together? Or do you want to go sit in the grass together? So it's like an encouragement that we are grounding together, we are co regulating, we are celebrating. In every moment of life, we're doing it in togetherness. And that's something that we can't get to unless we really go internally. I feel like you have something to say. Go for it.
No, no, I was like thinking of we talking about the self love, like our inner stories and everything. But in course of our time, right? So how people are judging you, how you see that, like you can't go something you like, but at the end of the day, you will think like what other people will say. That's the main question people are having. Some people are saying like what are the society will tell, right? What are the other people will tell, maybe what are the parents of my daughters and my sons will tell. Something is like not putting you forwards to actually doing but yourself. I have some of the stories I will share, but I am asking you, like there will be a lot of people are listening, and they want to grow for their love as well. They want to grow for their own inspirations. They love something or the passions, but in course of time, their family is supporting, but they are saying thinking like, okay, what will the other people will say? What will my office say? Or what will the other people will say? What are these areas and how you think you can overcome, or do you have any struggling points, any short stories to tell, so that um, the others who are thinking maybe get some lights on top of it?
I think when it comes to judgment, fear of judgment from others, that's something that I struggle with a lot because I've always felt blamed. I've always felt like I was wrong. I've always felt like I couldn't do anything right. I was in a relationship with someone and I couldn't even dance because I dance to lyrics because I'm used to Bollywood music where the girls are more facial expressive. I didn't think about beats and the sounds or anything like that. I like when they sing. Like, to me, the singing is the words, right? So I felt really ashamed, and I wouldn't dance. It stopped me from being free to feel myself. But one of the things that I've realized is, and this is because I went internally, whenever I'm afraid of somebody, what other people think, or fear of judgment, it's really because I'm judging myself. I haven't accepted me fully. Because once I've accepted me, then someone else's validation of me isn't going to have so much of a hold on me. If I'm dancing and someone doesn't like it and they judge it, that I'm still gonna do it. I'm not gonna stop, right? That's me. And this is just judgment. There's also important ways, like when it comes to business, especially. I feel that's a tough one. You can sit there and find your perfect moment where everything comes into alignment and you're like, oh wow, this is really what I was called to do. This is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to be doing with life. And you're going to get in your inbox 10 to 15 people who are going to message you and tell you you're doing it wrong. you know, they're going to tell you like, "Oh, I can give you this much views. I can get you this much client. You're not going about this the right way. You're not going about that the right way." And that feel like rejection, because now I know what I want. I understand what I know that I don't know everything, but I also want to secure my messaging, but you're telling me that I'm still doing it wrong. If if we look at that, and there are times when I used to look at that as judgment, and but that was the way I was looking at it. I wasn't looking at it as, okay, maybe there's an opportunity for me to learn how to incorporate my message with what the algorithms wants, with what the audience want, with what everyone else relates to, or whatever that case is. Instead, I was taking it as judgment, and I would stop, and I wouldn't want to do anything, and I wouldn't take any action, and I would have all these ideas, no action. Ideas, no action. So I really had to go internally and accept myself that I'm going to do it wrong and it's okay. Somebody else's perspective is from their lens. I was getting into finances, and a friend of mine was like, don't do it, don't, and he was listing every reason why I shouldn't do it. But when I thought about it, that was from his own fear. So once I start to understand that everybody else have their own movie, their own mini movie, and their own way of looking at things, and I can find value in that, but I don't have to make that my identity. I don't have to take that as something that I'm doing wrong, as long as I accept myself and I am owning it. Like, oh, I did that wrong. I can do it differently. At least that's what it's been like for me. I think that the fear of judgment is not outward. It's like, what am I judging within myself? What is it that needs healing from within me, so that I don't take on that as a projection, but more of a lesson. So that's where it sits with me in my heart.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, superb, right? So I'm just listening, and yes, absolutely, what people will say and how we will react and everything. So that's really matters for me. Like when I started my passion, right? A little bit of stories. So back in 2009, probably 2009, 2007, right? So we were dancing with one of the DJ, and he ordered one of the laptops. Right. So for the laptops, there were like 50 to 80 people in one of the telecom company I used to work. And the party was getting hype, right? So it was so good. And we danced till the last beat of the song. So I was dancing with my wife and the colleagues. So eventually, when I came to the DJ's laptops, I saw something is running, but he didn't have any DJ players or something like that, but he eventually cracked that dance floor, and we were very happy. So after 2 or 3 days later, I told my wife, like, I need to connect with that DJ. And my wife was bullying me. You DJ? No way. Why? I said, I know. I'm just asking him, like, I will ask him, like, why, where he get that softwares and everything. So eventually I called him up, and I was getting introduced and everything, because I used to work in IT. So there is no connections of being a DJs and everything. No way, totally full stop. So I shared that. But he was telling me, no, the software is very expensive and everything. And he's giving me a lot of excuses. And eventually he called, like, he has a meeting. So he need to drop the call. And I was so, what should I say? But I was lost. And my wife was laughing, like she said, like, I told you, don't get embarrassed. Like, yeah. So I was like thinking, why should I call and everything? So we had a dinner, we have a lunch invitation, so we did that. And at night when everyone is sleeping, like, so I just went through the internet, searched for that softwares and everything. And after a couple of hours, right, I was like devastated, right? No, I need to find it out. And I found out that's the free software. He downloaded it, and he just running the shows. And I was so disappointed on me that how how I asked him and everything. So I downloaded that softwares, and I started doing a lot of gigs to myself at night. And eventually, when we go out for a vacations with our family people, so I said like, okay, I can play the songs, right? And they said like all the kids, the people, and says like the cousins said like, oh, you're really. So I put that softwares, and I played for 1.5 hours, and they were dancing like hell. And some kids came to me and asked me like, "Are you a DJ?" And I said like, "No, I'm not a DJ," but I thought of myself, why not? And then eventually, the long story short, I got my first DJ gig in 2008.
Yeah.
And people asked me like, you can't do it, you are an IT guy. I said, why can't I? They said like, no, but like it will not go with your perceptions, your passions and everything, because you earn good salaries, so you go by life by like that. I said like, yeah, passion for music is okay if someone can play the guitar, right? So why can't I do that? And 7 to 8 years, I was the official DJ of my company, and I'm doing all the stuffs and everything. So I'm really liking it. But eventually, that's I call myself love. But I saw um, lot of not welcoming to the people, like, DJs are bad, it's like no way around and everything. Why you doing it? Why not you doing that? And they really try to push me towards the downline, right? So the main reason, right, what you shared, like they're afraid of doing that. So when people afraid of doing what they can't do, they're they're putting you in the list and pushing you not to do that. They're gonna not inspire you, they're going to demotivate you and everything. So I told myself, no, no matter what. So what I did is I sat with my dad, and my dad was an army officer, he was very strict and everything. I told my dad, and eventually he called me one day and asked me like, hey, why you not doing the DJing and everything? So I told him, Abba, or my dad, so why you're not stopping me doing that? That I heard a lot of noises that people told me like, this is not going to do that, it will not work and everything, but I'm doing good. I see a lot of 5 stars in my feedbacks, and everyone was very happy, doing all the good comments and everything. It's been like that time, it's been like 7 years, and now counted, it's been 17 years, 17 years with this one. It's really appreciated for my dad. And he said like, no, you have to do it, because that's your self love, that's your passion. And he did his bachelor and masters in psychology, so he knows. And he was asking me like, no, you have to do it. And my mom was one of my cheerleader, right? She said like, no, you have to do it, and you have to do it. So I found a lot of like disconnect to the people whom I know, whom I trust, whom are my best buddies and everything. But the point is, you need to understand your what your passion leads, right? So it's a matter of time. Even though at the age of 50, I'm trying to grow my hair, and a lot of people are saying like, why you do that? You're not looking good. Maintaining a hair. It's really tough for a guy like you, or for the guys. So a lot of disappointments, a lot of discourage. But I told myself like, no, that's my self love, that my passion. Because I used to study in cadet college, which is a semi-military. So we need to have like a very small hair, right? So and we used to wear the uniform. So all the 6 years we lost all our hair and everything. So eventually I told myself that period of time, when I grow older, I need to long my hair, right? So that's how I'm doing it. But there are people in the society, there are people who don't want you to grow. we are giving examples of what we are doing, like the DJs, the hair, or maybe your points of getting time. But there are a lot of examples. So, but the adding the story is something like, if your mind telling you doing it, right? You have, let's say, your parents, your wife, your boyfriends, or your girlfriend, or maybe your daughters. Ask them up, like, hey, what we are doing it, because they want a good for you, and don't stop it. Just grow and go and chase your dream, and you will find your self love. And trust me, that really boosts you to do anything and everything, because you're not doing anything bad, right? So you're just encouraging your one. Yeah, that's the one I was telling, and I'm sharing, like, yeah, you need to love yourself.
Yeah. That's
If you
really
love yourself, you can love others.
That's exactly it. And the way you said it, it's beautiful. I just can enforce it. I've experienced it. I've witnessed it in others, witnessed it in myself. And when we're moving from self-love, it flows outwards. Once we're what do you have, the analogy of the airplane, right? When the airplane's going down, you put the mask on yourself. So the more we're able, we can flow from a filled cup. It becomes so much more loving, and it co-creates so much more. And you're right, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to say don't do it, and they are there to teach and show us that we can. Don't take on other people's way of looking at themselves as something that you lack. When that voice starts singing in your head, I remember earlier that this year I was writing a book on finances, and then I stopped everything because the relationship repair is what came to mind. It's who I am, it's what I embody, it's something that's very important to share with others. And so it came from joy, it came from the desire to co create with others, to have relationships that are so safe that you tell someone your dream or you share your excitement with someone, they're like, oh, let's get on it, let's do it. I want to make that dream come true with you. I want to witness it, I want to be a part of it. I want to celebrate you. And that to me is so much safety in a relationship versus the other side of it, which is the self-doubt and the anguish and the turmoil and the just not living to your true potential or what you're meant to do. A purpose driven life is fulfilling because it's filled with self-love. It can't be any other way. You cannot have fulfillment without self-love. It goes hand in hand. And so I agree with everything you said. I feel like I overshadow it right now, but I think it's very important. That's a great topic. I'm glad that that you really wanted to bring that up. I think a lot of times too people feel like self-love is self-esteem. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. It's also a self-esteem, right? And the point is, you know what, like, life goes in the own directions, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so you need to, some people say, like, you need to spice up your life, right? So that's one of the reason, like, people go in dancing, they go for watching movies. All right. So what are these are like something you need to give thanks to yourself, right? So that's also very important, because you can change the life what it goes. And also for yourself, not for yourself as well, because you need to be other people's life as well, right? So if you don't motivate yourself, and if you don't really, let's say, doing whatever you feel like, it's not the way, it's whatever you are changing the world. So when I start my entrepreneurship journey, I had a feeling like, okay, I met with couple of businessmen when I was starting my 9 to 5 jobs and everything, and I felt like these guys will be the ones who will welcoming me. Like, hey, now you joined the entrepreneurship life. Let's welcome you. And the story goes completely opposite, right? They they were struggling their business. Now they are top notch entrepreneurs. yeah, earning good business and everything. But they really like our 9 to 5 job people, and they were very very happy when I did my jobs, and they were like saying like, hey, Nashid is doing that, Nashid is getting promotions, Nashid is doing that, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, I was not really feeling good after 16 years of 9 to 5 job. So when I start my entrepreneurship, and this person whom I think like they are liking it, they are saying like, I don't know what you're doing, and I'm not sure whether you're happy or not, it's the struggling points and everything. So people change, and people really change in course of time. But at the end of the day, uh, what you need to fulfill, and what you need to change the life, and what you need to change your purpose, and how you solve the problems, that's really matter. And maybe it's transactionally slow, because the way you are approaching the 9 to 5 job, but it's something like, you are doing something good, you are happy, like what we are doing the podcasting, because we want to share to our message to the every people about self-love, about transformation journey, about the leadership.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reason your self-esteem is very important, and you need to encourage yourself, like why you're doing it. And the reason why we discuss every time, like why we are doing it, why we started this podcast, why we started this entrepreneurship journey, why we started this business. So that's really helpful to your family, to your kids as well, because nowadays the Gen Zs and everything, right? They are very uh, not short minded, like short term values and everything. So if we can teach them like these things you love and like, so they will be like flourish like anything. So what about you, Lazina, right?
Yeah, I think that when it came, like, I think I understood self-esteem in a different way. It was more like, you need to have a good self-esteem, you need to have good self-care routine, and you need to think positively. But day to day, that looks differently. It's about being present when I feel disconnected. So if I am in communication with someone and they kind of hit me with that, you're not doing it right. Now, their intention may be to help me do it better, but in that moment, when however they say it, it's a disconnection because now I don't feel believed in. And in my self care routine, I need to have in there moments where I allow that feeling to pass through me and I give it a new meaning, because that's where things get stuck. That's the moment when someone says something and we make it mean they don't believe in us, and then nothing else happens from there. So that is important to build that self-esteem, the self-care routine, and not only necessarily the positive thinking, because we can't just override what we're feeling. We have to actually sit with it and understand it. But in understanding it and having um, that space within me to be able to say, okay, I'm still present even though I'm disconnected. I can observe what I'm feeling, allow it to pass through me, and give it new meaning so I can come out even better with more confidence and more self esteem. But not in a way that it attacks the other person either, but in a way that it says, maybe there's something that I can learn from them. Maybe there's something that they're trying to show me that I can't see, because the way the words landed for me was rough. And just by doing that over time, to be present, I feel disconnected, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry, I am ashamed of myself, whatever is going on in those moments, is saying like, well, I'm still here for me, and I'm going to give myself what I need, because my goals and my visions are more important than this moment in time. But in this moment in time, there's a great teaching, something that I need to learn here. And that all comes, I feel like that all shapes how over time our confidence builds, where it's the those second guesses are no longer something that stops movement. It's a reflection period. It's like, oh, I didn't like how that felt, why didn't I like how that feel, instead of I'm not good enough or I can't do this. So we tend to take on other people's opinions and make that mean so much, when really it's within us and it's sitting in our hearts. It's our desire. It's what we really, really want. So if I'm really upset at somebody, more than likely I'm upset because I can't be in relationship with them, or I can't have a actual better conversation with them. I'm not upset with them. I'm upset at the situation that's happening. And I think those are very good distinctions to make, especially when it comes to living, doing it from joy and purpose, and self love. It truly, I truly resonate with that. I'm unmuting you in case you had something to say.
No, 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 absolutely. I absolutely 100%, 200% agree with you. Like, this is how we matter, and self-esteem is very important uh, in course of time and everything, right? Yeah, I truly understand that. And yeah,
I think it's so important. This is such an important topic for anyone, not only in the entrepreneur, like even if it's entrepreneur, I like to say whether you are on an entrepreneurship journey or you are on a purpose driven journey, because someone who's living from purpose doesn't necessarily have to own a business, right? But it's all the same. It's stepping out of the norm and boldly showing up in places that says, I have this to offer and I really believe in it, and I also want you to believe in it. But there's that discernment that has to happen, that if you don't believe in it, it's okay. I'm still going to move forward. And that has to be fueled by self love, self care, self talk, self management, attunement, nervous system regulation. These are all things that encompass like us being able to have the capacity to hear others, to be around others, to show up for others without abandoning ourselves in the process. I think that's where the people pleasing end up robbing us of those opportunities, because we're so busy trying to make sure that person like us so much, or they're really receiving us, instead of being with who we are and what we really have to offer. So I think with that, um, we can wrap this episode up. This a little impromptu moment. And Nishid, you've brought so much joy to me. You always do, but today I think I feel so excited. I was in my own world a little bit, coming down from the Christmas holiday, and there are some moments that I wish could have been a little bit different. But I've been sitting with that, and I've been observing, like, I'm such a person who like to show up for other people. And sometimes when relationship starts to feel transactional, it can make me feel a little lonely. And so I was taking the time to give back to myself. I was actually sitting in the grass earlier, and I was really giving me to me, and appreciating everything that I've done this year. I was reflecting on how far I've come this year and the year before, so that I can truly be thankful in this moment. So when I got your message, it was a breath of fresh air, and it was like what I needed to be reminded that I have so many really good connections that aren't transactional, that are truly meaningful. And so it was like you showed up with the right message at the right time, and that is so important to have, especially on a self love journey, to know that there's people who can see, offer, be, and their presence alone can can change how we feel without being dependent on it. So it felt like we were very much in team with each other and in sync. So I thank you so much for the conversation, and especially on today. And I may be feeling a little nostalgic because, it's coming to the end of the year. The new year has new things to offer. But in reality, every moment have something new to offer, right? So it doesn't have to start next year. It could start today. It could start tomorrow. It could start in this very moment. So that is what I would like to leave our viewers and listeners with. What about you?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You're correctly pointed, and the things what we discussed today, right? We were sharing our experiences, from 9 to 5 job to entrepreneurship, from DJ, music, and everything. But the main area is you don't have to love yourself for the music. You can have many things in your areas, right? So many things you want to do, right? So more important part is what's your passion is asking you, what you love most, right? So eventually, many people who is listening or maybe agree with us, like they're lost in a mile, right? They don't want to do it. So what's the purpose, and why they lose in the transactions, right? So not everything in the transaction matters, right? You need to go beyond that. So the purpose of this podcast is like to share that no matter what work you are, love your passion, and you have to go extra miles. If you do the self love, and if you love yourself, self care, self esteem, feel good, right? Even though I'm struggling with my health, and when I'm trying to reduce mine, and that's really also a self love or self care that I need to fit. I need to fit. Even though my hair is long, but if I'm not fit, all got vanished, right? So if you're in your any kind of career, you are in working, you're doing some jobs, you're an entrepreneur, you're a small business owners, whatever you feel like or whatever you are right now. So you need to understand about your self love and what your passion is calling, what you want to do, right? Stop looking at what people are saying to you, because at the end of the day, you are the one who took the decisions, right? And if you can not bypass what you are doing, like taking care of your family, taking care of your girlfriends, boyfriends, or your parents, whatever you are doing, you're not bypassing that. You are just adding your own value, right? Sometimes people who can tell you that's selfishness, or you're not sacrificing more. But the thing is, that's not the selfishness, or that's not acting as a selfish. That's something you're doing for yourself. You're doing for your soul. If your soul is happy, if you love yourself, you can love others. That's a message to you, and that's a message to the rest of the people. And and definitely we are coming up with a lot of good interesting topic in our podcast in the next year. And I know, I'm pretty much sure 100% that Lazena has all the months planning in her notebook, and we will reveal that later. But definitely, it's a heads up that we are coming good in the podcast area, and we are trying to do some of the different part, not the traditional ones. So, if you have any suggestions to our audience, you can feel free to reach us and tell that, yeah, we need to talk, and you need to be a part of our journey.
Yes,
Let's take on board it, right?
that's right. Let's co-create. And as always, you know how to find us. You can find Achid on LinkedIn. You can find me on everywhere. And go to lazina.com, take your quiz, see what your relationship needs are, and let's find that out together. Join us on our podcast, subscribe, share, get everybody to listen to us. Let's make it a group. I don't, make it bigger. And thank you for listening. Oh my God.